New York Giants' search for a head coach continues. Now let's go to our top Giants reporter, Kelly Thumbs.
Giant fans are eagerly awaiting news on the Giants. Next head coach looking for any sign that the Giants have hired John Harbaugh.
Thank you, Kelly. For now, Giants fans turn their attention to
All right, well, welcome back to another edition of Inside BBI with John and Eric. I'm John McDevitt, and with me, as always, senior editor of Big Blue Interactive, Mr. Eric Kennedy. Yeah, I was messing around with AI today. I couldn't help myself.
Harbaugh. Is that
yeah?
Like,
it's hard. Like it's really hard. It's hard to get it to work the way you want to. And to be honest, I spent about 25 minutes. So I was just playing with it. But I love the part where it's like, it leads to us. I was like, that's cool. That's cool. But anyway,
I don't know if I'm making AI models talk to me. I'm having them say something else besides.
I'm doing it. It's like short notice. I gave it a shot. So I'm still new.
I'm gonna get bleeped here.
Yeah, I'm a newbie. I'm a newborn deer with AI. So just clumsily make my way through. I know you've got water tonight, so I'm not going to put you on the spot. I did go with.
I'm trying to be good. I'm on my fitness routine right now. All right.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because it was brought up in the other episode. Someone asked, and I didn't say anything. So this is actually week 2. No, that's not true. My wife would kill me. This is week 2 of that. I started at 206.8. I'm 201.5 right now. This is the first beer I've had since that time. So I'm trying to stick to that, but working out every morning, get up about 5, usually by 5:30 I'm working out. So I'm trying to get back into it and really working. But anyway,
awesome.
Right. That being said,
no one wants to hear our workouts.
Nobody wants to hear about that shit. We had a lot going on. I asked a question real quick in chat before we started about the Harbaugh fatigue, or are you excited? I see a lot of people are kind of like they're getting a little bit like, oh, this is getting much. What do you think and where do you feel? Because for me, I'm excited. I know it could go bad, but I am excited.
We've seen this before with this is a fan thing, and maybe it's not just with Giants fans. I don't know. There's the real world, and then there's this not fantasy. There's this perception world that things have been going on longer than they have. John Harbaugh just got fired. He wasn't doing anything last week because of his daughter, his family. He only did a virtual meeting with Atlanta on Sunday. Was it Sunday that he did a virtual meeting with them?
I believe so.
Sunday.
I believe so.
He's been talked. So he talked to. He went to Chris Merrill. Went to his house, and that was on Sunday, I believe.
That was on Sunday. Yes.
So again, we're Tuesday here. What do people think that this has hardly been any time at all? He hasn't gone to any team's facility and met with the team, and people are like, I'm so tired of it. Well, tired of what? Nothing's happened yet. I mean, nothing's going to happen until he actually goes to the teams and meets with them. And he may meet with 2 or 3 teams first and then make his decision. So he isn't dragging his feet, and he's not dragging us all along. This isn't like I've seen people say this is like LeBron James. What? No. I mean, and if you're John Harbaugh, you're going to take your time here. So, and it hasn't been that much time. So I don't get where people are coming from. I think they just want this resolved. But if you're that like bothered by this, go outside, take a walk, get away from social media, put your phone down and just do something else. I don't get that. So
yeah. And,
sorry.
No, what's funny too, though, is I think the problem is people want instantaneous information. But then they don't, when that happens, when instantaneous information usually is filled with things that may or may not be true, or half truths, or sort of they're kind of projections of, I believe. But that's how you fill those moments of everybody wanting something, is you got to have something to put out there if you don't. And I think that's what a lot of these people are doing. They try to connect the dots and they go, oh, this is why. Because if you remember over the weekend, it said he's not going to do anything with anybody. He's taking his daughter or whatever, and he's going to settle down. Then we hear that at least 6 teams had already actually called and talked to him. And then later you hear a report that he already eliminated a number of teams that was down to maybe 3. Then you hear reports that the Falcons interviewed him, which is not exactly the way it's supposed to be.
Because they put that tweet out. They were being kind of dicks.
But then here comes Chris Mara. Yeah. I was at his house.
Oh, he should shut up. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. I understand the Giants want to calm their fan, but you know how you've said before in the last episode that sometimes the Giants react too much to us. I would just keep my mouth shut at this point. And look, the good news is this. The Giants have done what you and I have hoped, and they've put a full court press on Harbaugh. Back up a second. I don't believe all the reports we're hearing. I believe some of them. I can't tell you which ones are accurate, which ones are not, but I don't believe all of this stuff. And you're seeing stuff out there about narrowing it down the teams and stuff. Who the hell knows that if that's true or not? But what we do know is that a bunch of teams are interested in him, and we're hearing drip, 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 drip. The Giants are putting a full court press on him. It's not just John Mara is healthy enough to at least be talking to him. We heard that even as of today, he had a phone conversation with him. Right. Chris Mara went down to his house, and there was another report where they have had phone conversations with him. Tom Coughlin has been lobbying on their behalf. Eli Manning's been lobbying on their behalf. If you believe a report, Brian Daboll has been lobbying on their behalf. So they're pulling out all the stops to get him. So he knows they're interested. So we'll have to find out if he gets wooed away from the Giants by Atlanta or the Titans or whoever. Honestly, God, I don't understand why Atlanta would appeal to him, but I do understand why the Titans situation would appeal to him. But I know you feel differently than me on that. But I guess. Well, I want to ask you too, because we've moved, because today I was so busy with other stuff. Have we moved back past the point where we have to worry about Green Bay? Is their coach?
At this point, you would think if they were going to do something with all of the other things that are happening, Tomlin steps down, Harbaugh's out, they would have done something. You would think,
right? Don't you think?
But nothing has been said definitively. Because he is on, I believe, the last year of his contract coming up. And that's something that Green Bay doesn't really want to let sit there as a single year. But they haven't really gone out of their way to extend him either. So at this point, I would think with the upheaval that there is, and you'd be coming in kind of late at this point, unless you had assurances that maybe John, if that's what you wanted, by the way, if you wanted John Harbaugh, then you would probably not make a move at this point. And I think it'd be really. So
the answer is we don't know yet, but nothing's happened.
Yeah, and I mean,
with Philadelphia, though Philadelphia did fire their offensive coordinator,
which would make you think that the head coach is staying.
Yes, I would agree with that too. So that was a positive sign. Plus, the Eagles lost. Yeah. Yes. I wanted them to win because I didn't want Harbaugh going there, but I can't help it. I hate those fuckers.
No, a part of me kept going, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm okay with them losing. And to watch them kind of melt down too, watch them melt down. AJ Brown dropping the ball. He's arguing with the coach on the sidelines. I'm like, that's what I want to see. That's what we need.
All right. So Eagles and Packers, if they don't jump in it, we're looking probably at Atlanta still because that keeps coming up. And I've seen comments in here about Cam Ward and all this. Look, Cam, the thing is that what we've heard and what I would believe myself too is that Harbaugh would want to come into a situation that has a quarterback that he feels he can work with. And I've preached nonstop that don't judge a Giant based on 1 year or 2 year. And Cam Ward, being a Titan, would fill in that same category. And the one thing about Cam Ward is this: he's a good kid and he wants it. He's not like some of these other quarterbacks where you're like, I don't know if I want to deal with him. So I would not discount the Titans. I would pay attention to Ian O'Connor. Ian O'Connor has been talking to Harbaugh. I saw a comment on BBI earlier today, Big Blue Interactive, that how the hell does why does everyone think Harbaugh is talking to Ian O'Connor? He is talking to Ian O'Connor. I have that from my contact too. So Ian O'Connor's been plugged in on this. So that doesn't mean this doesn't. This is exactly what I was trying to say last week too, or last show. Just because somebody says something doesn't mean the situation can't change. This is with the asshats, and the same thing is with the reporters. So how Harbaugh feels at one day could be a different day too, which would influence the reporting. So so people are living and dying a little bit with Ian O'Connor trying to read the tea leaves. Does he sound more optimistic, more pessimistic? I got a little nervous today too, because Ian O'Connor tweeted out that the Giants are still the front runners, but the Titans are a close second. And that makes, as someone who worries, that makes me a little bit nervous. So I would assume the Titan situation would be more attractive than the Atlanta situation, other than what you've already mentioned, the Matt Ryan connection. But again, what the quarterback situation is different there, unless you have more confidence in Penix's knees than I do. But that's me.
Well, I mean, you're talking, I believe this is surgery three for him, and that's not good for a guy who wasn't overly mobile to begin with. That's not a great
both
thing.
knees, I think.
I think it's both knees. Atlanta doesn't concern me so much because I think people are just trying to tie the Matt Ryan connection to Harbaugh, and I think that's a bit much. Tennessee, the one thing that seems to pop up again, this is what's been reported as being his interest. No, he has not said anything, is that John Harbaugh wants a quarterback. He wants cap space to be able to do stuff, and he wants a decent roster overall, something that they can work with. The Giants, I think, have the better roster, certainly on multiple sides of the ball. And I think the Giants believe that. And I believe other people in the NFL believe the Giants themselves had a better roster than the record. Like, they have pieces that with somebody else might have been better. I believe that we know that. Well, that's a standard opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not, I mean, that's proven out by the fact the way they played in the first half of the season. They just screwed up in the fourth quarter of these games.
I mean, if you're Harbaugh, now here's the thing. There was somebody, and I wish I could remember. If anybody in chat remembers, please do. It was on X. I know someone complained that we said Twitter before. It's on X. That there was a moment earlier in the season that apparently representatives of Harbaugh reached out to the Giants and let them know, and this had to be after Daboll had been fired, that if Harbaugh were available later, and this is why I said all along,
who said this?
This was on X. It was a reporter. It wasn't an individual. It was a reporter.
Who said that? I have not seen that.
It's not a Giants guy. It's somebody else.
All right, you got to be careful with some of these guys. Like there's some Twitter accounts that are clickbait accounts.
I'm aware, but here's the thing. I said all along that I thought the Giants had a feeling that he was not only going to be available, but that he might be legitimately interested in them. And then it kind of bore out when they said they did their homework already. There's no way you start doing homework on some of the coaches that are solidly in position unless you have an idea that they're going to be available. The Giants were not going to trade with the Ravens. They weren't going to trade with the Steelers. They weren't going to trade with somebody else to get a coach.
It wasn't Wes, was it?
No. But you know what's going to be interesting? You remember for those who don't know, if you're not on Big Blue Interactive, there's an X account. Is it Angry Insider Scout, whatever? Well, I believe
again, there was a legit account out there, but there's confusion whether it's that one or somebody.
And I think this guy is bullshit. But here's the deal. He has doubled and tripled down on what he said. And what he said, he was very specific. He said that Harbaugh would be at the Giants facility at some point on Wednesday for dinner and would be there Thursday to sign the deal. He said, if you don't believe any of the stuff I say, we'll see what happens.
We'll see, but
I'm curious to see.
Yeah, let's tap that down a little bit. We'll see. If it pans out being correct, I will start following that guy on X.
Well, either way, though, the Giants' commitment, someone posted in chat that they thought it was desperate, that the Giants are being desperate when they chase. And this is the funny thing, because that's the same conversation that the Giants are desperate at draft picks if they're trying to get up to get the quarterback, or they're trying to sign this guy and it's desperate. You know what? If you want something, go fucking get it.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel about it.
No,
Go
I'm not
get
going
it.
to change my tune. Look, the minute we found out that he became available, you and I were like,
That's the
the
guy.
heavens have opened up and this is their opportunity, because he checks every box that they want checked. I saw Rich Eisen today or yesterday, or a clip of him today, but it might have been yesterday. But he was talking about what a perfect fit Harbaugh would be, and he listed all the same things that I listed about, the CEO creating the new culture, having the dominant voice in that locker room. He would keep everybody in line, but he's a team builder, and he would he's the perfect guy to bring in here. So again, when we heard that he was very high on Giants, he's immediately, this is the obvious choice for them. So they should be a little bit desperate.
No,
I know what they mean by
determined.
desperate, but they're determined. That's a better word. And they should be. If they weren't determined, I'd be really pissed off at them. I'm proud of the Giants for the way they're handling. The one thing that makes me, well, there's a lot of things that make me nervous, but one of the things that make me nervous is there have been inklings of this in the past, and Giant Grit on the website, who tends to be plugged in, has said that Tisch and Chris Mara don't get along. And I've heard that before. I don't know if it's true. I should preface this, but I have no personal knowledge of that. But I have heard people say that before, that there's a little bit of tension there, and people have brought it up before that. I don't know if this is true, but at one point, John wanted Chris maybe to be the GM, and Tisch put this kibosh on that. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's been out there. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is I hope Harbaugh doesn't come into this situation and notice the tension and start to think this isn't as stable as I thought it was. And I know you're not going to agree with me on that, John, but those are the things, again, that pop into my mind that are like, if we are competing against the Titans and the Falcons and maybe some other teams, I just don't want something to upset the apple cart here. And I hope, Chris went down there and met with him. And I hope, he comes in and he meets with Tisch. I hope Tisch plays nice with Chris and vice versa in front of Harbaugh. So there's nobody, he doesn't pick up on that tension. Because if Harbaugh knows John is terminal, which he probably does, then he knows that there's going to be there's going to be a new boss in town. And does he want to be, and again, I don't think it's going to be this bad, but remember the situation when back in the day before the Tisches were involved, how bad the ownership split was.
Oh, sure.
So, and that was a problem. So I hope it's not like that.
Well, the one piece to all this that we don't know is what else they've discussed about what Harbaugh may ultimately want. He may have a lot more say and sway in what's going to happen with the scenario that it's been brought to your attention that maybe internally that the Giants don't really like. There isn't anybody that just wants to step up per se. And maybe as part of, again, we're just projecting, but there's been a lot of talk that Harbaugh might want to bring his own guy. Or I've always thought, if I'm 63 years old and I'm Harbaugh right now, I may not want to coach for 10 years. Maybe you coach 4, 5, 6 years, and then you elevate up to where you become running the organization, and somebody that you bring up takes over for you.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah.
There's a lot of different things at play right now. So we'll see.
But let's back up. There has been no official talk that he wants to bring in his own guy, though. I know you.
Correct. We haven't heard it. We haven't heard any of it yet.
No.
That was the rumor before.
That would be attractive to me. I think attractive to a lot of people, but I haven't seen anything credible that says that that's on the table right now. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but we haven't heard nothing like that. So
before we hit, because we do want to cover the Giants have been talking to a lot of other people. Before we switch off the Harbaugh thing, I wanted to go back to the folks that have reached out, right? Talking about Coughlin, talking about Eli, talking about Daboll. a couple things with Daboll. One, Giants are still paying him, so it's kind of cool that he's being okay about it. Two, you got to bet that the biggest thing that Daboll's saying to Harbaugh is maybe a little less about the Giants organization per se, and specifically about the guy that he clearly has like a close feeling for, and that's Jackson Dart. Like, he's going to want a coach that comes in there that knows this kid has got it. Like, you can really do something with him. And that to me, if that's true, if that's the way it went, that says a lot about Brian Daboll after everything that happened.
Correct. But I am reminded of a personal situation where before I married my current wife, and before we were engaged, or we may have been engaged, but I think it was before we were engaged, we went to another wedding. Good guy, Giants fan who lives out in Long Island. Went to his wedding, and my current wife was on the dance floor dancing with an ex-girlfriend of mine and having a conversation. And I was going, I'm not sure I'm crazy. I'm crazy about this. So I'm a little. What is Daboll telling? What is Daboll telling
Dude,
Harbaugh?
I can up that. My wife and my stepdaughter and my ex-wife and her daughter, they went on vacation together in Mexico. This is after we were married. So I can up you. I'm like, wonder how this is going to work out later.
Yeah,
But it was totally fine. It was great. We've always been a very good blended family, so it was really good. But I hear you. I hear you.
And the same thing again. I'm not saying that. Some of this is me teasing. But remember, Tom Coughlin didn't leave on the best of terms. He didn't shake John Mara's hand when he came off that stage. Remember?
Yeah,
so,
but things have changed since the Ring of Honor, I think.
Oh yeah, and Tom's the Giant through and through. I get that now, but I still, somebody brought the same thing up on BBI too. They had the same memory of the last interaction that we saw of them. But I think time heals wounds, and again, credit to Tom Coughlin, credit to Brian Daboll. Really, if Brian Daboll really is doing this, and again, I've said this repeatedly, even before he was fired. Hate Brian Daboll all you want, but I still firmly believe Jackson Dart's a Giant because of Brian Daboll. So if Jackson Dart goes on to do good things for this franchise, I would still credit Brian Daboll for that. So somebody mentioned today that I think there was a thread just now. He said he'd bet $1 if that Daboll would end up with Philadelphia as an OC. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't want to see Daboll go to the NFC East. I hope he stays away from there. But you could see why.
Go to the AFC West and join Jim Harbaugh. Maybe that's, he's like, hey, Jackson's great. By the way, can you talk to your brother?
Can you talk to your brother? Can I
look for a job right now? I'm open.
Yeah. But you could see the connection, why the connection with Daboll would be because of the quarterback connection with Alabama, with
Hurts.
Yeah. So you could see why that would be.
Was he the OC though when they sat Hurts at halftime of the game and put in Tua?
I don't know that. I don't know.
Trying to remember how that game went.
But I know I have seen quotes from Daboll when he was with the Giants and how much he really liked Hurts. So I would not want to see Daboll in with Philadelphia, but that's me. We should talk about some of the other coaches too, unless you want to finish. I mean, we're not done with Harbaugh, but
no, I think the big thing is obviously there's been a lot of rumor that the Giants would either somehow get a hold of him on Wednesday, or maybe there's a dinner. Maybe it's going to be later this week that they would sit down. So news has got to start trickling out pretty soon if there is something being set up for them to get together. The only other thing with Harbaugh that really, I still firmly believe, there was a post that I saw that someone said, quote unquote, unless somehow there's a massive change in where things are right now, and or somehow his wife just suddenly changed her mind, he was saying he still firmly believes that Harbaugh is coming to the Giants.
Who said that?
I'm trying to remember where I saw it, but
Ricky did post the other day. It was brought up to my attention by Ash that he did. I wouldn't have seen it otherwise. He said nothing's really changed. So
to me, I kind of feel like, again, just projecting, that this has been kind of in the works for a while. numbers I think are being tossed about. You don't toss some of the, so the 20 million number came up somewhere originally. I have a feeling that conversation between the Giants and Harbaugh had already occurred, or at least his representatives earlier. So they knew already where the dollars are. So just because it's leaking out now doesn't really mean a whole lot. I think that was already established. I don't think money is going to be the issue. It is legitimately going to be two things. One, that Harbaugh absolutely wants to come here and not somewhere else. Two, what conditions does he have to become the head coach?
Correct.
And clearly the Giants have had Joe Shane making phone calls, because supposedly he's called him multiple times based on what we've heard, and has been doing his bit. And then you saw Chris Mara went and actually saw him. John Mara supposedly called him today. That was the report that came out today. Right. So the Giants are doing everything possible. I got a feeling that this is kind of like the other stuff that you keep hearing is what I would do too if I haven't signed paperwork yet. I don't want you to think it's totally done. I want to make sure you understand that everything we've talked about needs to be on that paper when I come to sign it, because these guys are still interested in me. That's
Oh, sure. You don't want to give away the goods too early.
You're not getting the milk, for free.
Yes. So, again, I'm because I'm a Giants fan. I will not celebrate or spike the ball until the clock says 0-0, and I am not allowing myself to get too excited yet about this. But I'm at the same time, I want everyone to calm down with, again, what's taking so long. This isn't, again, just to reiterate a little bit, this hasn't taken hardly any time. There's hardly any time that's passed here. He hasn't visited the team yet, the facilities. Right. If something happens at the earliest it'll probably be the end of this week, right? So
you would think, yes.
Yeah, because if he comes in on say the guy's correct and he comes in on Wednesday, yep. And what did he say? He signed Thursday?
He said Wednesday night would be dinner and out, and that he'd be in the facility to make it all, finish it off on Thursday.
Yeah, that would be the earliest this could possibly happen. So anyone out there thinking about this happening before Thursday, no, stop. That's not going to happen. It's going to be Thursday or later, not only with the Giants, but if he had signs with somebody else. Right. And it's not him dragging his feet. I mean, that's the thing. You guys are all anxious, but this is going at a normal clip. This isn't, there's no foot dragging. The one risk that's here is if our second choice gets hired by somebody else in the meantime. And that's a real risk. And I don't know if there's anything you can really do about that. It would stink. But the Giants could get into a situation, say, again, if Stefanski's like their second choice and Stefanski gets offered a deal on Wednesday or Thursday by somebody, he may not want to wait around thinking that, well, they're going to sign Harbaugh. And that's a real risk. The only other thing that to add on with what you said, and I already said this, so I think Harbaugh comes here I don't think the money's going to be the issue either. Right. I think the only thing, the fly in the ointments are, can he work with Joe Shane or as you've speculated, is Joe Shane been neutered either now or in the future, and that's not an issue. And the thing that I threw in there is if John Mara is actually terminal and the new ownership takes over, whoever that's going to be, is John Harbaugh, does that make John Harbaugh a little bit nervous? And stable ownership does matter to coaches. It matters, what's going on. And one of the advantages that the Giants have had throughout their history is that the ownership's been fairly stable. Wellington was there forever, and then his son took over, and now there's a question mark because, again, we don't know. The Giants have not announced who's going to be in charge of who's taking John Mara. I posted today that what we should really kind of focus on is Chris Mara was the one who went down to Baltimore, and maybe Chris Mara is going to be, we've speculated, is it going to be Chris? Is it going to be Susan? Is it going to be Tim McDonald? Is it going to be one of the other Maras that we're not thinking of? But Chris Mara seems to be in the lead, at least in terms of pursuing a coach. And we don't know who this is going to be because, again, the Giants did not hold a press conference as they always do with John because John's too sick. That's the only reason they didn't, let's be honest. But they didn't roll Chris out there. So but it seems like Chris is – so I made a thread that said, for better or worse, it looks like Chris is in the lead. And people were immediately thinking, what are you talking about? They were saying as GM? No, that's crazy. I'm not talking about the GM. I'm talking about John's spot, the president and CEO of the New York Football Giants, the one that the general manager reports to. So that's who we don't know yet.
It's possible. But the other part to that is, correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
Minus, is it Susan? Is that Susan?
Susan.
Minus Susan. He is the only other Mara that owns. Tim McDonald, it doesn't own the team. He's not an owner.
He's not on the board. I don't know. See,
if he's an owner, it's like trickle down. It's like your kid might be part owner of something. He gets a share, but he's not.
My guess is, and I think people have said this before, I don't know. I've never seen this written down. My guess is that the team is owned by a bunch of Maras and a bunch of Tishes. But who owns how much? I mean, does somebody have 20%? Or is it all like 10%,
true?
9%?
But the reason I mentioned that is just that and I've got to, again, I am projecting. I am clearly saying things that I don't firsthand knowledge of, but if I'm piecing it together, I got to assume the NFL world knew that whatever his illness is, to the degree that it is, a lot of people in the NFL knew that there was something kind of going on. I think that if you want ownership to go see a guy, I'm not going to send Joe Shane and I'm not going to send Tim McDonald because I can't personally go. I might be on the phone, but I can't go. But my brother is going to go. I'm going to send him in my place, you know, and it's going to be weird the way I'm about to say this, but John's illness may actually be one of the things that tips a lot of stuff in our favor. I think Harbaugh is a family person, right? The Harbaugh family, their dad, I believe their dad was a coach. Their coaches, his brother was a player and a coach. He's a coach. There's a familial thing that they feel, they represent, they understand, and it's a big deal. And if John Mara reached out and said, listen, it's important to me, it's important to my family, it's important to our legacy that we really turn this ship around, and I think you're the guy, that I got a feeling that's appealing, especially if there's a piece in there that we don't know about yet of what it might mean for additional power or structure that he's involved with, John Harbaugh, after the fact. You're coming in as coach, but there might be more involved with that.
Well, it could be even more emotional than that. It could be John Mara saying to John Harbaugh, there's too many Johns involved, not including you. There's two. I noticed that the other day when I was rewatching part of the show, I was like, it's not clear what John I'm talking about. There's too many Johns involved.
I know there's a lot of Johns.
When John Mara may have said to John Harbaugh, look, I'm dying. And I want my last wish to be you being the head coach of one of the most historical franchises in the league. And that's one of my dying wishes. Now, John doesn't have to, that doesn't mean anything to him, but that's a powerful message to tell to somebody that, one of the royalty families of the NFL coming to you and saying, this is my legacy. And that could be a powerful message too. So it could work, like you said, it could work that way too. And I do have noticed that some of the beat reporters are very, very carefully dancing around the fringes of mentioning the John situation.
Yeah, they say his illness. They don't say anything else.
Well, they're saying no. They're bringing up Chris, and they're saying Chris is picking up the ball. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Chris is picking up the ball here. I think the sports reporter, you and I have talked about this before. Why are we the only ones talking about this? I think they know, and they've been told to keep their mouths shut. I understand it from a respect point of view, sort of. But I also think they've got a responsibility to the fan base and reporting on a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So I think they've been sort of cowed into being quiet. But if you pick it up, they're dancing around it a little bit. with the Chris comments in the last couple of days. So we'll see. Again, my fingers are crossed with John. We'll see what happens there, but it looks like my expectation is I hope we hear something this week with John coming in. Like that guy said, I hope he's coming in like Wednesday or Thursday, and then we can wrap this up, is my hope. But anyone expecting it to be done, tomorrow or be done Thursday, if it got done by we're on Tuesday now. If it got done by Thursday, that would be pretty ambitious. We'll see.
I mean, again, some of it too might be the fact that it might already technically be done.
That's
all
correct.
all the parameters might be in place, and they're
correct.
just waiting to finalize it. I got to think if the Giants get him in house, they're going to want to get this done. They're going to not want to go beyond that, because you're also stringing along, and we're going to talk about them in just a second. You're stringing along a whole bunch of other coaches too. You know what I mean? It's not just John Harbaugh.
Do you have a preference for him coming here first or last?
I honestly don't really care per se, but it would seem odd to me with all the talk, with all the major push, that if he went somewhere else first, that would be kind of weird. Like if all this talk is supposedly mutual, and that's what you keep hearing, right? It's a mutual interest.
Yeah.
Then why did you go somewhere else first? So the fact that the Giants,
but if he comes here first and he leaves the building and goes to other places,
that's a problem, because now you're shopping the offer.
Yeah.
And that's not good. That's not good.
So I would tend to agree with you. I kind of want him here first, but if he comes here first, is he already committed to leave the building and visit the other teams too? I don't know.
The other thing with Harbaugh, right? So as I just said, you're stringing along a bunch of other coaches, and this goes for all the other coaches, but Harbaugh in particular, because he is in such demand that wherever he says yes, he's getting that job, right? So if it's the Titans, the Falcons, or the Giants, let's just use those three. If he says yes to any of them, the job's his. Would you agree? If he told any one of those three, I want the job, they're going to go, you got it.
Oh, yeah. He'd be hired right now.
Okay. So he also knows he's stringing along a series of assistant coaches that either he wants to bring with him. Correct. So that might be, or guys that are interviewing for other jobs elsewhere. So he too needs to kind of figure his shit out so he can get his staff together.
Not only stringing them out, he risks losing them.
Right. Because Zach Orr, and I have no idea what his relationship is with Zach Orr, but I believe he's going to interview for the Cowboys defensive coordinator job. So that's a guy, if you wanted to bring him, and I'm not saying he should. I did hear a rumor that there's an interest. Again, I think people are just piecing things together, but it did fit what I said before, which made me kind of wonder if this person actually used that. But that the Giants may have done some preliminary interviews on behalf of Harbaugh, knowing already that he's getting the job for some of the coordinators, and Antonio Pierce was mentioned very specifically.
I saw that. That was a speculative post. That was somebody.
I thought so too, but I just think it's kind of funny. It's a weird combination because those two I don't think have a relationship.
Well, that's what I mean. I would be shocked if that's what's going on. We'll see. We'll see.
Updated odds for Giants head coach is Harbaugh minus 270. So those of you who bet, you can help me out with this shit. I don't completely understand what it means. Kevin Stefanski is plus 240. Mike McCarthy plus 850, and then it goes into like 14-1 for Kingsbury. Did he interview already? I didn't know that they talked to him yet. Halfley, who has not interviewed with the Giants, is 14-1. Matt LaFleur 14-1. Kubiak 16. Shula 16. Minter 16. Brian Flores 18-1. Brian Flores is not getting hired. As much as I wouldn't be against it, he's not getting hired.
No, look at the names that I put together on the front page of the people. Plus, Minter was added today.
Yes.
And Kafka interviewed for the OC.
You want me to roll them in order and we'll talk about them if you want?
Yeah, or we don't have to talk all about them. But if you see a name that you want to bring them in, I put them in the order of that they met.
You had Kafka first, which we knew. Stefanski was second. Now that guy, is he in as much demand as it seems? Because it does.
He got interviewed by Tennessee, didn't he?
And I think Baltimore was going to interview him. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I haven't followed that as closely.
And then Atlanta, I think Atlanta was also on his possibilities,
Yeah.
but I'm not hearing that anybody's just because these guys are free right now. Like if you were going to hire, some of these teams have not interviewed enough people to even meet as far as we know, the rule.
I just haven't followed the other teams who they've been interviewing. I know Stefanski's interviewed with other teams. I just can't tell you definitively who they were. So so let's keep going on the list.
Vance Joseph.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on them, because it goes Vance Joseph, Raheem Morris. Thoughts on those two guys? Both have had coaching experience before.
Yeah. Well, Vance is still in the playoffs. Correct.
Correct. With the Broncos,
and
right?
Raheem's out there free, and Raheem could be a defensive coordinator if he doesn't land someplace. That's his background. Is Raheem's a defensive guy, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, that would be more.
I don't know if I want
an Antonio Pierce.
I don't know if I want a two-time. I don't want to say failed head coach, but didn't win anything major.
No, I'm talking about as DC. I'm not talking about as head coach.
Well, I thought we were going through the possible coaches.
Yeah, but I said that.
Oh, I apologize.
On your Antonio Pierce thing, it could be anyways. No, I mean those aren't the top candidates. Those aren't. Okay. We should keep going down the list unless you want to say something. But those,
no.
Some of those meet the Rooney Rule, and some of them obviously. I think the Giants are interested, but they're not the. I think again, I don't have anything to basis on other than other people's opinions too. But I think John Harbaugh's 1, Stefanski's 2, and it's anyone's guess who number 3 is. But other people have wondered if it's Shula or Halfley or other. Anyways.
So then you've got Antonio Pierce and Darren Rizzi.
Yeah, and I can't imagine either one of those are serious head coaching contenders.
Definitely Rizzi kind of throws me. I don't know how that.
I don't even know what that
came up out of nowhere.
He's not going to come here as a special teams coordinator. He's already with the Denver Broncos. So
yeah, you would have to make him assistant head coach kind of deal as well. It has to be unless they let him out of his deal.
Yeah.
Clint Kubiak. And then Mike McCarthy was today, which again, we have not heard. We didn't hear how the dinner went. No, I didn't hear anything.
Well, my understanding is the meeting ended today. So there were 2 meetings today, I believe, was McCarthy and Lou Anarumo, which was a virtual meeting. So those were done today. I guess McCarthy would be, my guess is then third, if he would be the real fallback position is my guess. If you want to go with somebody who's got, we've talked about that before.
So Harbaugh, Stefanski.
Yeah, that would be my guess. And so if you look at that list, not counting Kafka, Stefanski was the first one in the building in a non-virtual setting.
Right.
And then Raheem Morris was the second in a non-virtual setting because he had been fired. And then the third in a non-virtual setting was McCarthy? Or you do have the list in front of you. Was he the third one with what was non-virtual?
Raheem Morris was in person.
Right. So I said him second. So it was Stefanski, Morris, and then McCarthy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went Kafka because I included it. Kafka, Stefanski, Morris, and then it would be McCarthy would be the other in person.
Is third, not counting Kafka, right?
Not counting Kafka.
Right. Okay. So the in-person ones are the ones that matter the most. So right now, it doesn't mean the virtual realities don't count because some of that is obviously directly tied to the playoff.
I like how you just said that.
But I would think that McCarthy's still very much in the picture as a fallback position is my guess. And the fact that they spent 2 to 3 days with him. So there was one report he came in on Sunday night. There's one report that he came in on Monday night. I don't know which is true. I asked Grok, and Grok gave me both dates. Gave me both dates too. So he's been there 2 or 3 days. So McCarthy,
I should have had a bunch of John Panette clips ready to go for McCarthy about going to dinner and stuff. Oh, you too big. You eat too much. No more. Eat a salad.
There were some pictures of him I did not use for the front page because I knew if I put them on there, it would start a bunch of BBIers going, he's too fat. I mean, I didn't want to get into that. So,
well, we did better when Daboll was fat. So I don't know, maybe
and Bill Parcells used to balloon up and down all the time. So anyways, all right. So, and then there were the virtual meetings. after that, or the request for the meetings, and most of those probably have happened, but there's been no public confirmation. The Giants have been in the past, and the beat reporters have brought this up too. In the past, the Giants have come out and said when they've met with a coach, they've made a public statement. They're not doing it this time, which I applaud them for. Right. Other than Chris talking to the press, which I would just kept my mouth shut if I was Chris on that one. But the other, I don't know if you want to just rattle off those last few names there in the virtual ones that they've requested, but they probably have met with them already. It's down below.
Shula, Kingsbury, and Davis Webb.
Right. No, and Minter we can add to that. Minter was going to be tomorrow. Was that what it was? Was Minter? Anyway.
All I knew is they requested it. I didn't know that they put a date on it. But it's got to be soon though, because they're playing. So
right. So those are the names. And so my guess, and again, I appreciate your feedback or anyone else in chat. My guess is it's Harbaugh, Stefanski, McCarthy right now, unless somebody like a Minter or a Shula blows them away, and then they would jump up to 3 or 2 or something like that, is my guess.
It's weird. It's weird in who they've asked for, like when they've asked for them, which again is all signs says that they've probably already talked to at least one of the guys that they're leaning towards going with. Because you would think you would want to, like Hafley was, remember very early on, Hafley was being like, everybody was kind of pinning, this is a guy, he's a Jersey guy, Boston College coach. Oh, right, this is the guy. He's not even on the list. The Giants haven't talked to him. Chris Shula was the guy I thought before it became obvious they were going to go experience, or at least that's where people were saying. Shula was the guy I wanted. I also wanted them to bring Tony Pastores over to run the organization. If they do actually do the virtual interview with him, where they're doing it and after everybody that they've done, doesn't seem like he's high on their list per se. They're doing their due diligence, but I think some of this now is just in case they lose 1, 2, 3, and then they're going down the list.
Right. But we don't know. There's somebody could have blown them away. Someone could come in there and they were like, they could Joe Judge them. I hate to use that analogy, but remember when Joe Judge came out in the middle of nowhere? Jeez. And we were like, Joe Judge? Who the hell is Joe Judge? So we don't know. One of these guys could be better than the other ones. We don't know. So I will give credit for the Giants for a couple of things. One is putting the full court press on Harbaugh. Second is a wide net. They've got a wide net of people that they're talking to. I've seen a lot of posts on BBI saying, can we give Joe Schoen some credit now for what he's done? And I know people are going to say I've got it out against him, but no, I'm not going to give Joe Schoen credit until it gets done. So in other words, if we end up with I don't know, if we end up with Vance Joseph as the head coach, are you guys going to still give Joe Schoen the credit? I'm waiting for the deal to be done with somebody impressive before. And if he does and they do it, then they did it. So again, I'm not spiking the ball until you're talking to a guy that watched the Giants play Denver this year. I'm not spiking the ball until the game is won. So, and nobody gets any credit for doing anything until victory. So this is about winning or losing right now. And it looks decent, but we need to finish the deal before we start patting anybody on the back. That's me.
I have no idea. I'm seeing this being reposted as Renan had said it. No, it's not bad.
No.
Giants are in good position. Giants have him at the top of their list. Giants are the top of his, just don't know exactly where. For the Giants.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry, because I was reading a comment. I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's just saying Giants have him at the top of the list. Giants are at the top of his list, just don't know the exact list. For the Giants, Harbaugh, Stefanski, Minter, and Pierce. One of those 4 guys will likely be the next head coach.
So Pierce and Minter. So I did throw Minter in there. Look,
so
I have no.
But
I love Antonio Pierce as a middle linebacker for the New York Giants.
I don't want to.
That would make me a little bit nervous, though.
The Raiders thing was a mess.
It was a mess, and maybe it's unfair to pin that on him too, because that was dumped on him.
But you were part of it, though. You
Yeah.
actually kind of somewhat helped undermine the head coach to get rid of him because your defensive player
Yeah.
sided with you and the coach. Yeah, because by the way, Josh McDaniels is a guy who clearly is unbelievably good at being an offensive coordinator and is absolutely horrible as being the guy running the whole deal. And that seems to be the case with almost anybody that came out of the Belichick tree. You know what I mean? Like coaching tree. So don't count Vrabel.
Yeah.
Vrabel was not coaching with the Patriots. He played for the
I'm
Patriots.
reading the comments, and people are talking about Minter and Shula and stuff like that. Minter would be fine with me too, I think. But as AF Giant fan points out, Minter or Optimist said Minter might be going to the Ravens. AF Giant fan said Minter might be fine. Or what about Kubiak or Shula?
I mean, will
I'd be higher on Shula than Kubiak. I guess again, some of this is me being shell shocked, and again, I'm a contrarian on this. I'm a little bit tired of the offensive whiz kid stuff, and because we've supposedly hired offensive whiz kids, and I was watching the playoff, and I don't know if before we get off, I don't know if you want to just talk briefly about what's been going on in the playoffs, but some of the playoff coaching on offense is so fucking creative. And I'm like, more I watch it, I'm like, Daboll and Kafka aren't what we were told they were going to be. When you compare them to what I'm seeing in the playoffs, I'm just seeing just awesome play designs and play calls and trickery. And we saw a little trickery with Kafka. I should give him that. Still, one play that's going to get lost in Giants history was
Jameis Winston.
It's the Jameis Winston catch. That thing was phenomenal. If this had been a good season, that would have gone down in Giants history as like one of the best Giants plays ever.
But there's trickery, and then there's
just consistency.
Well, that influence. Meaning trickery is a blatant, I've absolutely fooled you with doing, here's a handoff and we're pitching it here and we're going to go there and I'm going to throw it to the quarterback. That's trickery. If I influence you to think I'm doing one thing and I do something else, because I've seen teams go 3 tight ends where they basically only have one receiver and they're like the Rams. The Rams tight ends are making plays all over the field.
And they're not, and like you've pointed out, they're not like superstars or anything like that. And you're seeing things like where the good defenses are getting suckered by what looks like to be a bubble screen, and all of a sudden the quarterback's faking the bubble, like the Bears did this, but other teams did that this weekend. And then
going long.
Long, but everybody bit up on what looked like it was going to be a bubble screen, and it's just. And it's other stuff in that. I mean, and it's just fun watching some of these offenses. And again, that's what we were. And I was watching it with my wife's second favorite team is the Bears. Before she met me, it was the Bears, but she had to become a Giants fan because of me. So we were watching the Bears play, and it's just fun watching how their plays are designed, it's like that was what we were told Brian Daboll is, and he wasn't. So
their coaches, he's consistent. One thing I'll say for him is he's consistent. He definitely comes from the Lions tree of like, if I go for it on 4th down here, I'm going to go for it on 4th down over there. I'm going to go for it on 4th down over here. I don't care. We're going to constantly go for it on 4th down. You got to give him credit for the consistency, and his team rallies around that. Whether they make it or don't make it, they are all in on that's what they're going to do. But goddamn, he does some stuff sometimes where I'm like, why didn't you just take the points right there?
Oh, that's the other thing. On the negative side, I can't tell you how I'm bothered by, and this is in college football too, but really in the pros. What are coaches doing with this analytics stuff is driving me nuts, especially in the playoffs. Take the points. Get the lead, kick the field goal. I don't care what the damn analytics says. And I saw more games where that came back to hurt them or could have cost them, where I'm like, kick the field goal, so that bothers me. I'm old school, I got John Madden and Pat Summerall ringing in my ears still. Take the points, get the lead, especially when you're on the road. But this stuff where they're constantly going for on 4th down, and that team's going for on 4th down on their own side of the field. You're insane. I mean, that's
deep on your own side of the field too.
That's just stupid football.
A couple of things. First off, I thought Pittsburgh, if there was ever a thought that Arthur Smith should be a head coach again, That died in that game. I know Rodgers is cooked, but son of a bitch. I know I told you this when I was at the Dallas game, and you were like, shit, if I sat next to you, I'd be so pissed because I was calling out some of the plays before they happened. As we were watching the game, I was telling my son, I'm like, if they do this, because it seems so obvious that's what they were going to do. I go, if they do this, they're going to get totally just absolutely stopped. And they did. And that second, so they went to it was now 2nd and long. I go, now they need to go and do this. If they go and try to do, just standard this, it's going to get blown up. It got blown up. He goes, how do you know everything they're going to do? I go, he's been doing it the whole game. They would make one good play, and then they would immediately go to this weird sort of like a stretch handoff. Aaron Rodgers has no mobility. His mobility is so unbelievably limited now. And you're doing these things where he's not threatening the defense that way. They're not worried about it. You also have one wide receiver. One. Okay. Everybody else, they don't give a shit about. They're playing man-to-man too. They got killed. Rodgers looks so bad, but Arthur Smith shouldn't be an offensive coordinator for anyone.
I've never been a big fan of
that.
His.
Was so bad.
And Paul Kelly, to just address your question, the thing is Tomlin's burned out. He's not. So the answer here is easy. Tomlin wants to go TV. So,
but if it was 1-for-1 for me, it's Harbaugh. If everything was equal.
Well, part of this is, again, I've thought Tomlin has looked tired the last few years just watching him on the sideline. So in the back of my mind, I thought he looked burned out. And then it was confirmed by Cy last podcast when he said he heard TV, and other people are starting to report it now. I think I think Tomlin's burned out. I think he may come back and do it again. But everyone thought Bill Cowher was going to do that too. He was the other Pittsburgh coach. So Tomlin.
He's on year 20. Year 20 of possibly being the next.
I know the Giant. Everyone every year wanted Cowher to come coach the Giants, and I think even somebody mentioned it this year too. Still, I don't know. I wanted to mention one last thing on Harbaugh before we jump off too. Yep. I talked to my ad manager, who, again, on behalf of you guys out there, I've been telling him about the stupid Norton ad that's out there. Just so you know, every January, this is industry-wide throughout the internet. You guys should all know this. So in the calendar year, January is always the month where the junk ads appear. It's when companies run all their best stuff before the holidays, and then when January rolls around, it's just shit. Their inventory shit. So you get all these junk, crappy ads that appear, and that Norton ad is not a Norton ad. And it's not a virus or anything like that. It wants you to think it is. It's a junk ad, and they're aware of it, and they're trying to block it. But I was talking to him about that on your behalf to get rid of the goddamn thing. But anyway, the guy's a huge, huge, huge Ravens fan. And very smart football fan too. He knows football inside and out. I wanted to talk about the ads. He wanted to talk about John Harbaugh. So I was all ears. And he just went on and on and on about what a great coach John Harbaugh is, and how he said, he can't believe, he said it's like a death in the family that he's gone. And he said, what a big supporter he is of that man and what he did for that team. And he just couldn't say enough nice things about him. And then we talked about, some of the Raven meltdowns in some of these games and stuff like that. But he just thinks the world of him. And he said to me, it's exactly what the Giants need. And again, that's what other people like the Rich Eisens, who's a Jets fan, he said the same thing. It's exactly what the Giants need. So I just want to throw that out there, that non-Giants fans and Ravens fans in particular think so highly of the guy. So, and he thinks it's a mistake that the Ravens let him go. So he thinks if the Giants get him, and he thinks they should, he thinks it'll be a wonderful match for them.
Okay. So, your thoughts then on where you stand right now. How do you think this is going to shake out? What do you feel personally? I know you're a warrior.
He's probably going to be here this week. If he's not visiting tomorrow or Thursday, I'll start getting nervous. By Friday at the very least. I would expect him to visit the New York Giants this week. And I would expect them to put a full court press on him to not leave the building. Now, whether he leaves the building or not, I don't know. I don't know if he goes someplace else first. That would make me nervous. But the thing is if he gets out of that building and then he comes to us, then I'll feel better. You know what I mean? It's like what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
About the offer. You know, if he goes to like Tennessee and he leaves Tennessee and comes to us, then I feel pretty good about that. But I don't want him leaving the Giants. I just don't know I don't know if what's in his head. Is he going to make a commitment to like 2 or 3 teams that no matter what, I will come visit you? That's what I don't know. But my guess is something will start to get wrapped up one way or the other this week. But it will be towards the end of the week, is my guess. We're at Tuesday already. I mean, tomorrow's Wednesday, so
yeah,
nothing's going to get done tomorrow other than maybe he'll visit. I'm surprised we haven't heard he's coming tomorrow already. I thought at the beginning, Sunday, I thought we would hear he's visiting somebody on Wednesday. Maybe he is, and maybe they're keeping it quiet. I don't know.
Well, so Paul mentioned right now, he goes, wasn't it reported teams had to go to Harbaugh? No, it was said they didn't know if teams would have to go to Baltimore or if he would come to them. I suspect that part of that piece, that was when there were supposedly 6 teams or 7 teams that had contacted him. It has been whittled down since that point in time. I think the phone call with Atlanta is already done and over with, and I don't think Atlanta's still in. I don't have zero way of proving that, but I have a weird feeling that Atlanta's not part of this. And I think the quarterback thing has been the biggest thing of all. That's been the one constant that everybody seems to say, is that he wants to have a quarterback in place, and it makes sense. Because you don't want to go somewhere. If you have Penix coming off of a 3rd knee surgery, you just redid the deal for Kirk Cousins with at least as reported, right, with the idea that it lessens his cap hit to let him go, not to keep him. Right. So you're literally going in with no QB heading into the offseason. That's not ideal. And you have no 1st-round draft pick. You traded that away. So
and the Giants had the 5th pick in the draft.
5th pick in the draft, which I think is movable. I think the big question for Harbaugh would be if he sat down and said, I looked at your roster, and for shits and giggles purposes, we brought this up before, but if he sat down and he looked at Chris, John, Steve Tisch, Joe Shane, Tim McDonald, and he said, I think we should trade Dexter Lawrence.
Right.
I kind of want to get a guy. I want to get a big guy. He doesn't have to be an all-pro pass rusher, this, that. I need a guy who's going to eat up the middle, because you've got the guys on the outside, but we got to eat the middle up, and I got to get some inside linebackers. We got to move some cap money, and that gets us the capital. Will you do it? If I'm the Giants, I do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Right.
That's what I do.
Right. And that's part of the thing about the first point that I said earlier is the potential fly in the ointments are 2 things. One of them being, if he wants to do it his way, are you going to allow him to do it his way? So
right.
Everything that we've heard, again, we're not hearing directly from the team. So everyone needs to keep that in mind. You hear things from this reporter and that reporter and blah, blah, blah. But everything we've heard is they're going to allow him a lot of authority. I hope that's true, but we'll see. We'll see. But if he goes in there and the Giants say, and I'm just making this up, but they say, we love you, John, but you're not going to have final say on personnel matters. And then he goes to the Titans and they say, you get to do whatever you want. That's a bad thing for the Giants. That's going to be, because they got a young quarterback. They've got $100 million in cap space, double than we, or more than double than we will. So they that would be attractive to them. I agree with you with Atlanta. I don't see that, and I don't know if we're as long as Green Bay doesn't fire their coach in the next day or 2, then I think we're in a decent shape if it's against us in Tennessee.
Would you feel pretty confident that if Green Bay did fire their coach, and if Harbaugh was going somewhere else, that all of a sudden LaFleur would be on the Giants' radar?
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly available.
Does LaFleur want to go to Miami then, though, too?
Well, true. But I was saying is like,
instantly. Yeah. If you're the Giants, you immediately want to interview with LaFleur.
So if you're the Giants, Eric, if you're the Giants, do you put a deadline onto Harbaugh that says, listen, we want you. We're giving you every bit that you've asked for. but I got to have a commitment at some point because we got to have a coach, and we can't wait another week. And if you go, so would you do that? I would.
Brought that up last podcast. That would make me nervous putting that on him because I don't want to scare him away, but I think you almost have to, because you don't want to be left at the altar by your top 2 or 3 guys. And again, and no disrespect here, but you don't, if we end up with Antonio Pierce as our head coach, say Jordan Renon's correct, I think everybody, and going back to, are you happy with Joe Shane now? That would be not one of those scenarios where you'd be, and maybe Antonio would be wonderful here, but I don't think right now, Giants fans, if we ended up with Antonio Pierce at the end of the day right now, would be high-fiving each
other. I think you're going to, the fan base is going to implode if it goes that route. I see that some people are saying no. I do think you have to put some sort of it, even if it's a question to him. What is your time frame that you're going to make a decision? Because I need you to commit to making a decision then, because we have to do something. If you come to those days, and honestly, if I've given you everything you asked for, I need to know what's holding this up.
Exactly.
If you're not in sales, you don't understand that. But the deal is, if we've talked about everything, then what is the reason why we're not doing it?
That's the way to say it too, John. That you said it perfectly. You said if it's not a yes right now, then what's the hold up? And again, you don't want to dismiss them, but again, the Giants have been in this situation with players lately and potential trade partners and potential free agents within the last year where they've been flirting with somebody and it feels like we're being used. And that's still in the back of my mind too. So you don't want to just keep waiting and waiting and waiting. And to the Giants' credit, they eventually cut bait on waiting for Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers clearly wasn't coming here. And then eventually the Giants issued a statement, or I don't remember exactly, but they made it known we're no longer pursuing Aaron Rodgers, which was the right thing to do because he was just fucking around with us. And then Matthew Stafford clearly was screwing around with the Giants too. So
I almost think, though, I don't know that it was Matthew Stafford as much as it was the Rams. The Rams going, okay, go ahead, and the Giants were like, all right, we want you. And then he got the money. He was, and I believe if we heard right, he took a little less money to stay with the Rams than to come to the Giants. So,
but it's the same point. We were sort of the anvil. You know what I mean? We were the ones.
But see, the difference is in that scenario, not Aaron Rodgers. In that scenario, the Rams knew that Stafford really didn't want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
They were just trying to get the money to come to where they wanted it to. So they said, go ahead and shop yourself around. And he ultimately chose less money.
But you get my point. I just don't want to be that guy that's being, I don't want to be the
again. And you're right. You're 1,000% right. I'm going to bank on the fact that I feel like this has been in the works even before the season ended. I think it was before he even was available. The Giants were already preparing to be available. And I got a feeling that John Harbaugh dug his heels in about the offensive coordinator, that he wasn't going to let go just because of his quarterback, because he knew that, you know what, I'll force your hand. If you want to let me go, there's teams that want me. And because you can't just quit, right? You can't quit and go somewhere else. You can't say, I'm done being the coach and go somewhere else. They have to trade to get you. But if I fire you, now you're free to go anywhere you want, and that's what the Ravens did.
Do you read into the national? Maybe I'm watching the wrong national media. The national media seems convinced John Harbaugh is not coming here. Do you read anything? I'm not talking about the guys on Twitter. I'm talking about like when you watch the ESPNs of the world. They keep saying like John Harbaugh. They keep mentioning other teams with him, and the Giants are like,
But see, Peter Schrager kind of said, John, but he's like, don't forget Tennessee. But see, that's where I think that's coming from the agent. That's to keep that. But everybody keeps
maybe you and I are watching different guys. I just see people just sort of dismissing the Giants as a possibility for Harbaugh. And I'm like, really? Because it seems to be it's the opposite right now. And I don't know. ESPN's crap. I mean,
they are crap. Don't even get me started. There's a bunch of stuff with them that I could get on. So all right. So real quick, the one thing that we're waiting to hear, two things really. One is what happened today. How did the thing with Mike McCarthy go? Nothing has come out of Giant Central about it yet. So
Oh, it won't. It won't. Because John,
but they were pretty quick the other day about, the interview went well with Stefanski. They were on top.
we
of
never
it.
heard anything about Stefanski. They haven't announced anything. No, the only thing we've heard,
who's they didn't.
the Giants are not releasing
But the media guy said the meeting went well, so they were getting stuff from Stefanski. They said the dinner went well.
If you saw that, I didn't see it. I have seen nothing. I've seen nothing on any reports, but that doesn't mean you haven't seen it. But I've seen nothing on any report how any meeting with any coach has gone with the Giants. I have seen nothing.
I've heard there were really positive things about the Stefanski dinner and then the interview. He really liked them. The Giants are interested, but the Harbaugh thing was coming up. But we've heard nothing. I mean, McCarthy, this is the other major come in and sit down, and
the Stefanski thing happened so soon. I don't even remember seeing anything that. I mean, I didn't know it had happened until after the fact. It happened so quickly. So again, at the end of the season, I'm in like update the website mode, so maybe I just missed it, but I've heard nothing on like how any, and I wouldn't trust those reports anyways. What are you going to say? We met with Stefanski,
it sucked.
And it sucked. They're not going to say that.
Shane's a slob. He eats with his hands. It's gross.
So I don't think we're going to hear anything. I mean, if you hear anything too, what you're probably hearing from, like, again, like you've said in the past, the guy's agent who wants it to be known that clients in demand. So
that is very true.
I wouldn't expect to hear anything from other than the meeting that took place. So again, the Giants have met virtually or in person with what, 7 people already, and maybe more, because those other 3 guys they probably met virtually with too. We just don't know the days. And I keep looking for the confirmation on those days. The meetings were requested, and I assume they already had happened. Again, the Giants didn't announce them, so they've probably interviewed as many as 8-9 people already. So, so they're doing their due diligence. They've got a wide net. It's not like 4 guys. They're interviewing a bunch of people. So we'll see. But the in-person ones matter the most. So it's Stefanski, Kafka, if you want to count that. Kafka, Stefanski, Raheem Morris, McCarthy. And then assuming Harbaugh comes in.
Right.
And then Minter
requested. Which would be this week. You would think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's kind of where we're at. I mean, we want to stay on top. If something breaks, we'll figure it out, and we'll come on board. I do want to let some people know I did get confirmation, just not on when. I did say I want to do it in February, so not now. But Gary Reasons is going to come on, so we'll have Gary Reasons.
Huh? Really?
Yeah, we're going to get Gary Reasons in February. He wrote a book recently. And so he'll be able to come on. We'll talk about that, but we'll talk about stuff in the past with John. So we'll have Gary Reasons. Cy is going to give me a bunch of dates where he can fit it in, and we'll try to get him fit in. I really would like to get him in about some of the coaching stuff and things like that.
Yeah, because he's got that new coaching stuff that we keep pinning about the chart he put together. Yeah.
And then I'm trying to remember who was the other guy. Shit,
Gary Reasons of the hit on the goal line.
I know, right?
He's probably so tired of talking about that, but we're going to bring it up.
You know what's really funny is I want to ask him about that, but I also that play against the 49ers.
I know it was a punt return. You're going to make fun of him for not scoring.
No, I really wanted just the whole thing, because really it was decided once they were out on the field. Like it wasn't like we're just going to automatically run a fake. It was they saw what they needed to see and they went with the fake. But I also want to know, when you were like, when you pointed up, what were you trying to get him to do? Like, oh shit, like you're gonna fake him out.
Yeah, you were trying to do the old faker. People forget. Everyone talks about the Denver game with the hit. That was his game. That game was his game of his life. He was all over the field.
He was all over the field. He
dominated that football game. It was like, where the hell did that come from? It was like, Kerry Collins in the playoff game against the Vikings, where John Madden goes, Kerry Collins, where the heck did this come from? It was Gary Reasons in that Denver game. It was like, where the heck did that come from?
Well, and Gary really, and he took over. Keep in mind, right, the transition from the Crunch Bunch, for those who don't remember, the Crunch Bunch was the early 80s once LT came on board. So you had LT, and you had Brad Van Pelt, you had Brian Kelly, and you had Harry Carson. And Brian Kelly was 55. ultimately, I think Brian Kelly made it into the 83 season. Did he go in 83
he was
or
not
right
there in
after?
84. He was not
84, he was gone because
there.
84
Gary got
was
drafted.
his rookie year, and
Yeah.
Gary took the 55.
Right.
And people forget too. I love playing the number game, but LT wasn't originally 56 in camp. He was 98 in camp, which was his college number. Jim Clack was the Giants center, 56, who had just retired the year before. So when the season rolled around, once preseason ended, they gave Taylor the 56. Clack comes out of retirement during the 81 season when the Giants needed a center. He came back later on, and the Giants had to give him a new number because LT had his 56. Anyway, just going through numbers. But yeah, Gary Reasons, there's just something about just him and that time, because that's the part I like when we talk about building teams, right? This is the thing that bugs me. You think some people think that everybody you draft has to be an all-pro to build a team. It's not how it works. But they've got to be really good players within the scheme. The Giants drafted a lot of guys that maybe on other teams wouldn't be so great, but mixed with the players that they had, they were. You got a Gary Reese, a Herb Welch who can come in and play. He's probably not starting for any other teams, but the way the Giants played and who they had around them, they could. There's a lot of guys that you could look at through time, even the 07 and 11 championship teams, they had guys that they drafted that weren't superstars, but they were down in and down out players. And that's the piece that you need. Yes, we need to get Jamal Duff on, because I want to ask him about being Michelle. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Michelle.
Real last thing quick for you. I don't know if you watched The Critical Drinker, but he did the whole thing on the horrible career of your Seagal. What's his name?
Steven Seagal. Oh my God.
It's out this week. So watch it on Steven Seagal. It's the rise and fall of Steven Seagal. It's
nice.
It's even worse than I realized. I didn't realize about his problems with women and all that stuff. So yeah,
it's crazy. And that's the other person I forgot. So our buddy, So Bad It's Good, Jason Brandt, we will have him on as we move further into the off season, but we're going to do a little movie football combo, bad movies, bad football seasons. We're going to kind of combo that, but we're going to have Jason Brandt back on as well. So that being said, Eric loves when I do that. Like, subscribe, comment. Dude, we had over 3,400 views on the Saturday episode that we originally weren't going to do, which is crazy.
It was on the front page.
It was crazy. Well, you know what? It worked.
Somebody said earlier in the your opening was trash. So I know.
I thought it was funny. I was trying to just have fun with it. It's really tough because you got to be really careful with any clips of anything else or any. I've used free music that literally said free use music that we got hit for afterwards, and I had to remove it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It's such a pain in the ass.
I don't get that either. So,
but that being said, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will definitely try to do another show. I won't commit anything for Eric. Eric and I will talk, and we'll try.
I think we're gonna have to do a show by the weekend at least.
Oh, for sure.
If Harbaugh's, I'm assuming Harbaugh's going to be here this week, so I guess we're going to have to talk about that.
And if it's breaking news, we'll figure it out. We'll jump in and we'll get it done. Yep. So like, subscribe, please like. We had 3,400 views and only 150 likes. And even if you don't like us, if you just watch for the info, just help us out. I'd really appreciate it. But that being said, we'll catch you again real soon, and have a great night.